Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota, and I'm glad you could join me for this episode. One of the things you're going to notice right away is that we are switching our schedule for this podcast. Normally, we release the podcast on Wednesdays of the week, but with our new worship schedule, I'm finding that it's a bit difficult to fit in recording the podcast in the first half of the week. And so we're going to actually move our podcast release day from Wednesdays to Fridays. So that's a little bit different. I know that's going to be a little bit different in your rhythm. But it's going to help us. So that way I'll be able to talk about things that happened on Wednesday and anticipate things to happen over the weekend. But I just want you to kind of put that in your mind and in your calendar, and that it wasn't a fluke this week. It was sort of something that we learned on the way. We're learning a lot of things this week. This is a big week of change, of getting back into the swing of things, of finding our new rhythms. Just in the Ricky household alone, I've had two boys start their first day of school on different days. My baby cut her first tooth this week, and we launched a new worship service. So yeah, a lot is happening, but that is great, and that's what we love to see. We love to have activity and vibrancy in the church. And so know that my prayers and blessings go out to all of our students, our parents, our teachers, as they navigate this first week of school and kind of get back into the swing of things. The first week is always a bit rough, and just kind of finding the rhythm and getting used to getting up in the mornings and finding that schedule for everybody. That's always a bit challenging. So know that I'm in it with you, and my prayers are with everyone who is doing that this year. The big exciting thing for us here at the church is that on Wednesday night, we launched our new Wednesday night family fellowship programming. And I'm really pleased with how our first night went. I mean, we've kind of treated this as a bit of a soft launch, knowing that we're still in August. It's the first week of school, but we wanted to make sure that people got this into the rhythm right away. So they didn't establish a new fall rhythm without the church as part of it. So that was a real goal for why we chose to start this week, but also knowing that not everything is in full swing yet. There's still elements of Wednesday night that aren't going to start until September. But I want to talk a little bit about how it went and what it looked like and what you can expect coming on a Wednesday night. And so starting at around 5 o'clock, we opened up the dining room, Wesley Hall, for dinner. And again, that's a free will offering if you want to help provide a little donation that goes again right back to buying food for more people to eat, but otherwise that's a free meal. We had sandwiches and watermelon and Rice Krispie treats. It was really great and lively, and so from 5 to 6 we served food, and then at 5:30 to 6:10 is our children's 605 programming. I know the name seems a little doesn't make much sense anymore. It used to start at 605, and we're in South Dakota, and that's our area code is 605. Well, we've kept the name, but we've moved the time. So in 605 is really just our name for what used to be Sunday school. This is our children's discipleship programming. It's our children's ministry time. And that is for kids that are in preschool through 5th grade. And that goes from 5:30 to about 6:10. And they were playing outside. It was nice out. They were getting to do a lesson. They were talking about being, teammates and things like that. And while they were doing 605, and we have volunteers that help with that, if you'd like to be a part of that, we would love to have you be a part of that. We had adults that stayed in the fellowship hall, and they were eating their dinner and having a great time getting to know one another, getting to visit. If you've gone to church, especially in the last few years, so often we go to church and then we just go back home. In the last month or so, we've started coffee fellowship again on Sundays, which has been great. But now we're doing Wednesday night. Our fellowship time will be over the dinner table. And so come and get to know the people of the church here. I've got to visit with some new people, which was awesome. And it just gave us some time to do that. And I really enjoyed it. And so that is there and available for you on Wednesday nights. And then about 6:10, 6:05 will conclude. Our children's ministry will conclude, and they're going to conclude up in the sanctuary. And so what we ask is that parents come up and meet their kids there, or meet their kids in that lobby area, because our hope is that everyone goes to worship. Now, we know for some families that you really want to keep your worship on Sunday mornings, and we love that, we respect that, but come to the lounge area upstairs to meet your kids, to then take them home and put them to bed or whatever you need to do, because that's where we want to keep everybody, and our adults want to be able to stay there because they want to head into worship. Our adults that are leading 605 want to be able to worship as well. And so that's going to be the new area. So we're not going to be sending kids outside into the parking lot. They're not going to be right at the front doors. You're going to have to actually come up the stairs to get your kids. But then it's a great opportunity to stay for worship. And worship is 45 minutes. Last night, or I'm recording this on Thursday morning, so last night we got out even sooner than that. So it's a really, we're trying to make sure that our young kids aren't here past 7 o'clock. That way you can get them home. I was able even to go home last night and help get our kids to bed at their normal time on Wednesday. And so that is our hope, to be able to do that. And then worship was super fun. We had about 20 kids in worship on Wednesday night, and it wasn't that they were singing, it wasn't VBS, it wasn't Christmas, it was just a normal worship service. And we had them coloring jerseys, because we were talking about being a community, and how being a community is like being a team, and how each one of us is important and we have our role to do, and that we need to show up and to have our teammates be able to rely on us for doing our part. And so the kids, during the worship service, I gave them jerseys to color, and they colored them, and we're going to be having them hang up so you can see jerseys from all the kids that were worshiping in church, which is just so amazing. It was a lively, energetic service, lots of kids, lots of activity, really fun, energetic music. We were having a great time. And so and there's a challenge for this week. And so the same sermon that I preached this Wednesday, I'm going to preach again on Sunday. And so if you didn't get a chance to come Wednesday night, you come on Sunday and you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are a kid who didn't get to do your jersey, you're going to do it on Sunday in worship. And so I'm really, I just am really pleased. Part of, like I said, what we're doing is kind of creating the soft launch, because there's stuff from last night that we're trying out and we've learned, and go, okay, now let's try it this way. Let's shift this a little bit. Let's make sure we've got that covered. Because our goal is September 7th is when everything, the whole gamut, will be active and running. And what I mean by that is, right now, our children's 605 has started and our youth group has started, and they're going to be running through. But September 7th is when our bell groups will begin, our chimes, our choir will begin rehearsing Wednesday nights, and our confirmation students will start their confirmation program after worship. And so Wednesday, September 7th is the big deal. And also, fourth graders are going to be receiving their Bibles in that worship service on Wednesday night. So that's the one that we want to make sure that everyone is there for, and that it is our big kind of kickoff for the fall. And so we wanted to do something a little different, a little special. And so we're going to invite you to do potluck dinner that night. Instead of serving just kind of whatever we come up with, we want you to bring some potluck, bring whatever is your favorite thing, and come and experience what the Wednesday nights will look like. Especially especially if Wednesday nights are going to be your night for worship. But even if it's not, even if you are going to be a committed Sunday worshiper, and again, we're never moving away from Sunday worship. I want you to hear that loud and clear. We will never move away from Sunday worship. We will always have that. That'll always be important to us. But we want you to experience what's happening on Wednesday nights. We want you to see the kids. We want you to see the families. We want you to see the outreach, because when I say there is life and there is joy and there is energy in the church, that's where it is. And I want you to see it for yourself. And I want you to know that it's there and that you can be praying for it and how you can support it and be a part of it, even if that's not going to be your primary worship time. But that is still your church. Those are still your people. And so Wednesday, September 7th, we're going to invite everybody to come and experience it, to see it, to peek in on the 605 rooms as they're learning and what that looks like, and for them to come and see what worship is like on 605. Again, we're not expecting everyone to be a part of that worship service all the time, but if it's your church, we want you to see what's happening. We want you to be a part of that. We want you to see it and experience it for yourself so that you know what's going on, so that you see where the children are in the church, because they're here, they're active, they're doing things, and it's awesome. And we want you to be a part of that Wednesday night by bringing whatever your favorite potluck food is, and we will feed each other and have some time of fellowship together. So that's what we're looking at, September 7th. Let's pack the church out that night and really have a sense of who is First United Methodist Church, who is everybody, who are we all together, because we haven't all been together for a long time. And I think you'd be pretty amazed at what's really going on in our church, beyond just a Sunday morning worship service, because things are moving, things are shaking, things are happening, and it's awesome. And it's what we've been praying for. It's what we've been hoping for. And it's what we're building toward. This is, the land flowing with milk and honey. This is what we've been talking about all summer. And so I want you to be a part of that. I want you to see it. So September 7th, come for potluck meal before the service, stay for the service, check out what's happening with 605. Maybe you will be so impressed that you're like, you know what, I want to help in some way. I want to help serve. I want to help be in a room. Having these kids is amazing, because it is amazing. It's awesome. And I want you to be a part of it. Last night for youth group, we had 19 kids. Can you believe that? We had 20 kids for our children's sermon, and we had 19 kids at youth group. We have young people in this church. They are here. They are engaged. This is their place to be. And so I want you to see it. I want you to see all of that, because it's amazing. Connected with that, I would like to talk a little bit about something that's maybe a little hard to talk about, but I still want to talk about it. So it is really important. Well, maybe let me back up a little bit. Before the pandemic, there was a statistic out that in order to be considered a regular worship attender, a person would need to attend church once a month. And that was pretty startling. When I was a kid, in order to be considered a regular attender, it was 3 out of 4 Sundays a month. Unless there was 5 Sundays, then 4 out of 5. You miss on average 1 Sunday a month. You were a regular attender of a church. You were an active member of the church before the pandemic. So in that, 25, 30 years, it went down to 1 Sunday. If you came to church 1 Sunday a month, this is across the board, across the country, across denominations, you were considered a regular attender. That was the baseline, 1 Sunday a month. After the pandemic, that has shifted again, and it has gone to 1 Sunday in 2 months. That is across the board now what is considered an average worshiper, a regular attender. That's not enough. It's not enough. How in 1 Sunday in 2 months can you maintain faith, maintain a relationship with God, become a disciple, follow Jesus, help others to do the same, be invested in your faith? That's a really scary statistic as a pastor. That's a really scary statistic as a parent, that I am raising children that if this trend continues, um, there's not going to be a church in the future. Now, I know there will be, because God is faithful, God is good, God's spirit is working and active. But I think we need to kind of address that elephant in the room and talk about how important is it for me to invest in my faith? How important is it to be a follower of Jesus in my life? And what am I doing to help support that goal? What am I doing to maintain that faith? James talks about, if you believe in God, good. Even the demons believe that and shudder. Like, it's not just about what you believe, it's about what you do. James goes on to say, you tell me my faith, but I will show you my faith by what I do. I will show you my faith by how I live my life, by what I am committed to, by what I prioritize. Now, again, one Sunday in 2 months is not a big priority. One worship service in 2 months, because now, and we're, as the church, trying to help you with that, because we get that there is so many demands on your time, your energy, and you need to take care of yourself, and we understand that. And so that's why we're putting in the Wednesday night service as well, to try to give you options, because we want you here more than once every 2 months. We want you here as often as it is, because we believe that corporate worship, that gathering together as the people of God for a time of fellowship, a time of community, and a time of worshiping, that is what's going to sustain you. That's going to sustain your spirit, and that's going to support your mental health. That's going to support your physical health. It's going to help you be the person that you long to be. When we did our Mom's Night Out, we talked a lot about how do we pattern our lives. And if we're running from place to place and thing to thing, our lives are going to look chaotic. And at the end of the day, the end of our life, we don't want to look back and say, what was your life about? Well, it was just about all these different things, all these things I did. I was busy. I was just involved in a lot of things. Or do you pattern your life on God's love, and that when you look back on your life, you are rooted and grounded in God's love? And the only way to be rooted and grounded in God's love is to be constantly filled with it through worship, through maintaining your relationship with God, through maintaining relationships with the people of God, loving and supporting one another, living in community. This series that we're kicking off this fall with is called Plugged In. And the idea is you need to be plugged into the source of your faith, to the source of that which gives you life, in order for you to live a life full of abundance, and a life of God's love, and a life that's not constantly stressed out, and one that you're not constantly running around feeling like you're a chicken with your head cut off. This first Sunday, this first worship service, I'm going to keep talking Sundays because I'm not used to Wednesdays yet, but the first service, the first message is all about being plugged into this community, being part of this team. Can't be part of a team if you're not here, right? You can't be part of a team if you don't know your teammates. You can't be part of a team if you have not invested. And so that's the first step, is come be a part of the team. Come worship. Now, we know for some of you that you are worshiping online with us, and we're so grateful, because we know for some of you that is a health concern, and that we will continue to broadcast our Sunday worship services again for your sake, for your need. And we know that there are weeks where you are sick and gone, and you want to be a part of what we're doing and see it and experience it, at least in some way. And that is for you, and we are glad that you are with us. But if you can be here, be here. Be here. Come experience it. Be a part of it. Share your gifts and graces with others, because when you do not come, not only are you not getting the blessing of everyone else is not getting the blessing of you. Yeah, it matters. You matter. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. You matter. And for us to build this community, this church is not about the building, it's about the people. And we're going to continue to build this church, build up its people, to deepen our faith, to grow in love of Christ together, to serve our world together. We need to be together. So you come on Sunday mornings and you worship together. You fellowship during coffee hour. Come be a part of a small group, be a part of a study, we're going to be doing a new member class starting at the end of September. If you come this next month or so and you're like, yes, this is the community that I want to be a part of, this is the team that I want to be a part of, that I feel like I belong to, that I have a voice, that I have a purpose, that I have value here, we want you to come and join it for reals, for officially. All right, that's what the membership class is going to be about, learning about, okay, let's make this official. The other piece of this is how are you modeling investing in your faith for others, especially as a parent, especially as a grandparent, as an aunt and uncle, as a big sister or brother? How are you modeling living out faith for the next generations? We've been talking a lot about really wanting to be a church where families can come, where their children and youth feel like this is a church for them, where they are part of it. But then our roles as the adults, our roles as the leadership and as the people who've been here a while, it's our job to model that. It's our job to model what it looks like to be a Christian, how to invest in your faith, how to live that out. And if our modeling is coming once in a great while, or when it works in our schedule, when there aren't other things happening, or come until the kids are out of school and then disappear, that's what we're teaching them. That's what we're teaching them faith looks like, is that it's faith for children, that it's a faith for young people, but that as adults, it's there when you need it and not when you don't. When I was in youth ministry, I used to have parents who, they would just drop their kids off. They didn't come to worship. They didn't do anything. And they'd say, well, it's your job to teach my kids about faith. It's your job to inspire them. And I said, it's my job to be another voice for them. It's my job to be another safe adult for them and to teach them things that I know about Bible and stuff. But when it comes to living out the faith, I have very little influence, because your kids see me 1 to 2 hours a week. They see you all the time. And parents, especially parents of teenagers and of, they're not listening to me. No, they might not act like they're listening to you, but they're watching you. They're watching you, and they're watching how you are living out your life, and they're watching how you're living out your faith, because that is the greatest marker of knowing whether or not a child is going to have a faith that continues, is whether or not that's been modeled for them in the household, whether or not their parents are walking in that and making that just a regular part of their life, that this is just a given in our life. You as parents, as grandparents, as aunt and uncles, you have way more influence than we do on church staff. We're going to do everything we can to make this place a place for your children, for you, that this is a place where they can come and belong, that this is the team. But guess what? You have the most influence, and what you are doing or not doing speaks volumes. And so the question becomes, how are you modeling a life of faith for your kids, for your grandkids, for the kids of our church? I know those are some tough questions, those are some tough things, but that's the reality, is that it takes all of us. It takes the whole community to make the community work. And I love our community, and I want more and more people to be a part of it, because frankly, I think they need it. And I want this church to be a church where people come, and when they come and they don't know what to expect, what they walk away with is feeling, man, I feel loved. I feel welcomed, and I feel like God has a purpose for me. That maybe God didn't forget about me after all. That this is a place where I can belong, where I can find community, I can find friends, I can find support, I can find things to do that matter in this world. So this first message that I want you to hear, and if you heard it Wednesday, it's a repeat. If you haven't heard it yet, know that this is what's coming on Sunday. I want us to be a solid church built on the foundation of Christ. And when I talk about the church, I'm not talking about the building. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about this community. Let us get to know one another again. Let us get to spend some time together. We did Mom's Night Out. We're getting Dad's Night Out in the works right now. It is It is getting planned. It is getting put together. The dads were like, we're great. So great that the moms had a night out. When's our night out? It's coming. It's coming. It took us a little bit because frankly, I'm not a dad. And I wanted you to have a dad that can speak to you and to speak to what it is like to be a dad and to be a man of faith and to encourage and build you up, but also so you guys can have some fun. So be on the lookout for that. Don't forget about September 7th. That's going to be a big night in the life of the church. And we want everyone to come. Everyone. Bring your food, bring your family, your whole family, and come and experience what this church really is. Because I tell you, we are awesome. This church is awesome. These people are amazing. And if you don't know that, come on Wednesday night and you will see it firsthand just how amazing we are. And if you are stumbling across this podcast for the first time, you are invited to come as well. If you are living somewhere else and you're like, I don't know how I found a podcast about some random church in Yankton, South Dakota, guess what? Check out our YouTube channel where you found this, or maybe you're listening to this. We have sermon podcasts as well. We want you to feel like you can be a part of this too. Let us know that you're watching. Let us know that you're paying attention. Let us know, because we want you to be a part of it too, and we will work to make sure that you are. But if you don't tell us you're there, we're not going to know. And so I'm excited. This whole summer, we were working through that wilderness story, and I do feel like I'm getting a taste of this promised land. I'm getting a taste of what this church wants to be and where we want to move and what we're passionate about. And what I see is we are passionate about the families of Yankton, about creating a space that helps our people become disciples and follow Jesus and build a life that they want and a life pattern on Christ, that their kids are experiencing life and experiencing abundantly, and they're growing up to be people of character, where we have older people. Remember, we have XYZ coming up first Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. We have older people that are still finding purpose in their life, that have a place to go, that have people that have support as they navigate that season of life, that we have all ages are here. All ages are represented, that this is a community where all are welcome, all are loved, all are valued. This is what I believe. This is what I care about. My vision for this church is that every person who says, yeah, I'm part of that Methodist church, that not only do they say it, but they're here and they're part of it and they're living it out. And that we are a church that when people talk about Yankton, they talk about, those Methodists, they really love each other. They really love this community. They're doing what they can for Yankton. They are putting things out there. They are investing in the school system. We've got Kids Hope Mentors in the Beetle school system. If you want to do that, talk to Julie Moderager. Get your swag bag, which is pretty cool. I want the word Methodist in Yankton to be synonymous with people who are passionate about their faith and about making a difference. That people are like, yeah, something's going on in that church. That's awesome. That's awesome. God is moving. God is moving in that church. And it's true. And if you don't see it yet, come. I'll show it to you. It's happening. It's real. And it's awesome. So I'm excited. I've been waiting for the fall. Man, I felt like summer went forever. I know some of you, summer's like, it went by so fast. I have been waiting for this moment, this week. And I'm so glad we're here. I'm so glad that it's happening because it's great. And it is pumping me up and my soul is on fire right now because God is so faithful and God is so good and I see good things happening. I want to talk just really briefly. We are doing a series called Plugged In right now, and then we're going to do a couple weeks, and I'm going to be doing this series throughout the year. It's a sermon series, and it's going to be called Finding Faith In. And I love to talk about God moments, that we need to have our eyes open to God's activity in the world because God is active all the time. It's a matter of whether we're paying attention to it or not. I also believe that the themes of scripture and the lessons that we learn and the things that God is trying to shape and teach us show up in different things, not just church things, but other things, because not only do we need to be invested in the life of the church and what we're doing here, But I want us to be able to draw out these themes in our in the rest of our life as well, that we're connecting our faith to all these different other things and finding it and being able to talk about it. And so Finding Faith in is going to be a series that we're going to return to throughout the year, but each time we're going to find faith in something different. In September, we're going to be finding faith in classic children's literature, because I am a mom, and what I read right now is children's books. My kids are working on 1,000 books before kindergarten, and since April, I've read over 400 children's books. And what I've noticed is that themes and lessons and things that I see in the Bible are also echoed in these children's stories, but in a way that they can understand, in a way that is accessible to them. And so I want to draw those out. So we have 2 weeks of that. One of those weeks, for the Sunday service, we have a guest preacher, Reverend Dane Zackerson, who used to be an associate here way back in the day, about 20 years ago. He's going to be giving his take. So that would be a week, by the way. If you want to, we're going to be talking about the Velveteen Rabbit, which was one of my favorite books. I actually had a stuffed Velveteen Rabbit as a kid. We're going to each have our own chance to preach that sermon. So come on Wednesday, hear what I have to say about it that week, and then come on Sunday and see where Dane goes with it, because that'll be a really unique opportunity to hear 2 different pastors finding themes in the same story. So that's in September. We're going to come back to Finding Faith in November. October, we're going to be doing a really cool stewardship series called Defying Gravity, learning how to break the chains of the finances in our life, and how we can kind of get chained by those things, and learning how to have a healthier relationship with our money. Especially, we know right now how hard it is with inflation, with all of the things, and how it's such a stressor. So that series is going to be, I think, a really helpful, good thing for all of us as we look to how do we want to plug into the mission and ministry of the church through our giving, because that's a vital part of the work that we do together. Money funds ministry, money funds mission. And so part of your participation in that, part of your participation in the work that we do as the church, is through your giving. So we'll talk about that in October. And in November, we're going to do Finding Faith in your favorite movies. And so I have we're going to be including an insert in the bulletin asking for your favorite movies. I'm going to do 3 weeks. 1 week will be around children's movies. 1 week will be around comedies, and 1 week will be around dramas. And I'm going to use the movies that you suggest and find connections in it with our faith and scripture. And this is my goal, so that when you watch your favorite movie, you'll also have the sermon in your mind going, oh yeah, look at that. That is the same connection as this thing. It is a good example of this principle or this story or this whatever. And so I've already got some from worship last night, but know that I can't wait to get yours. Some of these movies I've never seen, so I'm going to be having a lot of movie nights at home as I watch these movies and find out and figure out where we're going to go with it. So some of these are some of my favorite movies as well. Someone put on here Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters. All of this is going to be a good challenge. I've never preached in this way before. But I know that it's possible, and I'm excited about what that can look like together. So, and then also, if you have not signed up for Remind, please do so. We have 3 different Remind accounts. One is for general church information. So that'll be like, hey, remember that we have potluck on September 7th. Don't forget to get your potluck stuff ready and come that night for worship. Or, hey, it's snowing outside. We have to cancel worship. Join us online or something. That's what that Remind will be for. It's for the whole church, for things that are going out so that you are getting the most up-to-date information. And it can come out as a text message, it can come out as an email, or you can download the Remind app and it comes through that. So that's the general church information one. If you have a student or you are a student in the grades 6 through 12, we have a youth Remind, and that one sign up for, so that way you know what's going on with youth group, that you know they've got some big things coming down the line. Next summer is a big trip for all United Methodist youth across the country. And so there's going to be a parent meeting coming up soon to talk about that and what the youth group's going to be doing this year. But get on the youth Remind. That's the best way to know what's happening, is through that. And then we also have one for our children's ministry. That's our 605 children's ministry for our preschoolers through 5th graders. If you want to know the most up-to-date information, if things are changing, if something has to get canceled because school got called off, we want you to know about that. And that's the best way to get on that. It's going to be in the description below this video. If you're watching the podcast, do it. There's no reason not to. It's the best way. If you're like, I don't know what's happening in the church, odds are you're not on Remind. Remind is the best way to know the most up-to-date information. We don't push out our all of our announcements there, but it is the, hey, just remember we've got worship happening, or hey, make sure you're coming to this, or again, just to kind of give you that heads up, because it is the best way to know the most up-to-date information. So I think that is enough for me. Oh, also, just real quick, if you are into canning, we're going to be doing that soon in the life of the church. We'll get that information out as soon as we have it scheduled. But like I said, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting. I love the fall. I love the fall weather. I love fall foods. I love fall schedules. I love it. I'm so excited. This is exciting for me. You are witnessing Pastor Katie coming into her element as we move into the fall. This is what I live for. And so I hope that you are having a great week. I'll see you in worship either Sunday at 10 a.m. or Wednesdays at 6:15. Until next time, God bless.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays, and we have 2 options available. 9 a.m. is our contemporary service, and 10:30 a.m. is our traditional service. You can find those online as well at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or on YouTube.